and this is Conspiracies Unlocked. We are continuing reviewing Britney Spears, The Woman in Me, and we are on chapter 34. So, let's get right down to it. Britney felt miserable, as she always does.
Yeah, she's extremely miserable, and she says that she was... the only thing that she found comfort in was her sons and her day-to-day routine.
Which is interesting, as we'll get into later in the book, that she did not like her routine. But we'll get to that later. At this point in time in her life, she liked her routine and her boys.
Right now, yeah.
She made friends. She was starting to date Jason Trawick, who was 10 years older. And I believe that he was a talent agent.
He was an agent, and they dated for 3 years, and I never knew she dated Jason Trawick, and I never heard the name until I read the book. And I've known about most of her public relationships, and I don't remember that name coming up, but I must have missed that part of her.
3 years is a long time for you to miss her life.
I think maybe it was under
2011,
wraps.
12, 13, 14. So yeah, from 2011 to 2014. What were you doing? You and me were hanging out. That was the problem.
I was in dental school at that time.
Yeah.
I was
You were watching
school,
TMZ, yeah.
and I had preschoolers, so
yeah, you were too busy. That's what
busy.
happened. Yeah.
Okay.
So anyways, she felt like she was always that he was always like managing her, and she felt like a lot of like protectiveness from her, like a lot of love, but like in a protective way. So he felt very like loved. She felt very loved by him.
Very loved, but he was like obsessively controlling situations, and that he was not used to all of the paparazzi, and that she was used to the paparazzi, and he would probably try to control situations like...
Yeah, like managing her of like, let's go this way now. Let's go this way now. Let's like to try to get away from paparazzi, which...
And she was like, she was over it by then.
And by then, Britney's like, I was too fucked up psychologically, and she couldn't maintain the relationship, I guess. She had a house in Thousand Oaks.
Mm-hmm.
Go on.
Her kids were very young, and her dad was in control of her life, as we know.
Yeah. Even what she ate.
Yeah, she was on a break from the Femme Fatale tour, and... her dad was micromanaging her life.
Like everything she ate.
Like he knew when she went to the bathroom.
Yes. Like every little thing.
Any little detail he knew.
And what's fucked up is that her parents, back in 2010, got back together.
Yeah, so they were divorced for 8 years, and then they got back together.
And mom was happy because dad finally had a job. And you know what that job was? Controlling Britney.
Yeah, and Britney thought that it was strange that her parents would watch Criminal Minds every night on the couch, and she thought to herself, like, who does that?
Who fucking does that? And I'm like, everyone, Britney. Everyone does that. What are you talking about? I'm like, dude, me and Brad watch CSI and CIS, like... I'm confused.
I think that Britney was probably, like, trying to say it was weird, like, because the way they micromanaged her, and then they're watching
Criminal Minds,
like,
stuff.
How are we going to do this to Britney?
Yeah, which is so
like
paranoia.
Plotting against her.
But I think that's totally paranoia on Britney's part.
And the sad thing is her father would be such a micromanager about like her food and stuff. He would refuse her to have dessert.
Legally was like, you are not allowed to have dessert. Like, I have legal power over you and you can't have dessert.
Yeah, and she felt like the state of California, because the conservatorship was under, like, with the state of California, she felt like the state of California, like, if he said no to anything, that it was like
against the law if she rebelled against it.
The state of California was saying you couldn't have dessert, so she would just comply and just kind of be like sad about it, like, why can't I have dessert, please, everybody else is having dessert. But ultimately she would just be like, okay, and just give in. Like, what is she gonna do?
Yeah, so she didn't feel like herself, so she was like, I'll just go back to work. So 2012 came, and she was a judge on X Factor, and I'm so sad I never saw that. Did you watch it?
I did watch it. I love all of like
I've never seen any of the
competition shows and stuff, and you could tell that Britney was like not happy on that show, because she almost seemed like there was nothing in her eyes, like there was no life there, like she was just going through the motions.
I feel like this is the beginning of the whole conservatorship, and this is probably the first time that we've like really seen her in public where she's supposed to be herself. She's not like a tour or like performing or like hi, I'm Britney and I'm promoting the show. I'm doing this. This was just supposed to be like her. And
but her personality was extremely different. Most people when you're a teenager and you're young, you mature, you change, your personality does like change as you grow as an adult and a woman, in her case, woman. But because she always kind of felt like a kid inside and she was being so controlled and micromanaged, it was almost like you could see on the show, she would kind of be like she didn't know, like she didn't let her personality out. It was almost like she was afraid to like be that
herself.
That like if you look at interviews of Britney when she's young, and she has that like goofy personality where she's like, she just kind of lets herself shine through a little bit more through the interviews. It's not just like yes, no, like robotic. And like on the X Factor, she was just kind of like different, just different. And there was like a lot of memes and stuff going around of her when she was on the X Factor, because she would make really funny facial expressions. Like I
saw the one gif that's like
yeah,
whatever,
that was one thing about her though. Like if she didn't like a group that was performing or like the act that was up, she didn't really like hold back. She would kind of be like, that's not really the best, like sorry. But it just still seemed like it was really forced, and it just seemed very robotic. That's just me looking at it from like a fan perspective of how she was when she was younger and how she was at that time.
And she said that suddenly she's nervous in front of the camera. She's never been nervous, and now she is. And so obviously what she's saying, you're corroborating what she's saying here, that's like you could see that she was feeling that way.
You could tell she was extremely uncomfortable, and she was a very, I don't know, I just say robotic because I don't know what else. And nothing in her eyes, like no life. Yeah.
But then she like, what do you have next?
That she hated working on the X Factor. Yeah. And she said that she would much rather do cameos on TV shows, like 1 or 2 day work, 8 hours of work. And that she didn't like being in front of the cameras for that long period of like 8 hours of actually like filming all day. And they probably had to re-record stuff, and it's just a chore.
It's a lot,
And
I remember on American Idol, they would what is it, the week where they go around all the
like the home, where they go to all the homes?
No, where they go to the different, they're trying to find the people, like to get the golden ticket to Hollywood, whatever it's called, week. All week, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I remember all the judges would be bitching about that, like, oh my God, this is bullshit. We are so over this. Because it's like they would have like 14-hour days of just being recorded and having to like watch all these people.
And you also have to think that they haven't even found the good people yet, so they have to listen
go
to
through
the
all
most annoying people that probably cannot sing.
Yeah, or they think that they're good and then they break down and you feel bad.
They're like, who told you that singing should be your career path? They're like, my mom. And it's like, oh honey.
That's cute. So, you go.
I was going to say, but there was like a silver lining at that time, a happy moment. She got engaged. During that time, she got engaged to Jason. But then sadly in 2012, he ended... he ended up becoming the conservator of her conservatorship.
So Jason and now her dad and now Jason ruled her life.
Yeah, and that completely changed her feelings for Jason, because he's supposed to be like a romantic. He's supposed to be her fiance, not her
guardian, not her daddy.
Yeah.
So in a quote in her book, she says, I couldn't see it then, but I see now that having him tied up with the organization controlling my life might have played a part in draining the romance out of our relationship.
You think?
You think? I literally have. You think, Brittany?
I know you would say you think.
You think? Like, I'm confused. Like, what?
That would take the romance.
Now you're figuring that out.
Anyone's relationship is like, now I'm in control of you. You're gonna do what I say.
So blah, blah. Yeah, she just didn't love him anymore. She was like, I'm good, and so he broke up with her. So Britney went back on tour, and she was super sober. She wasn't allowed to drink. She wasn't allowed to do anything, obviously. Mm-hmm. But not even like her dancers or anybody.
We should mention how her mom treated her, though. During that time.
Oh, how?
So before he broke up with her, she stopped sleeping in the bedroom with him.
Yeah.
and she spent more time with her kids. And her mom at that time said, "That's hateful," to Britney. And Britney was like, "I'm sorry, I can't help it. I just don't love him like that." Yeah. The mom was like promoting her to stay with him, even though she knew she didn't love him. And I don't know why they wanted him to be like part of this conservatorship, maybe.
Yeah, probably to keep because he was probably being controlled by Dad. Dad was controlling Jason. Jason was controlling Britney. And that way Britney wouldn't be mad at Dad. Britney could
keep her in
control
line.
her a different way.
Yeah. So that's just kind of
so Britney went back on tour and she was super sober. She wasn't allowed to drink or anything, but she'd still go out and have fun, I guess.
Yeah.
And then she said that she saw Christina Aguilera all fucking super fucked up.
Yeah, she ran into Christina Aguilera in LA and they were friendly at the time. And although she wasn't allowed to like drink or anything, she was allowed to go swimming and go in the jacuzzi.
Yeah, so her stuff kind of contradicts because she's allowed to go be around people that are drinking, but she's not allowed to be around drinking. But then she randomly bumps into Christina Aguilera when she's all fucked up, but she's not allowed to go out. But she's in a jacuzzi. But
I think it might have been one of the rare times where like she kind of got past her dad or whoever.
But then in the next sentence she says that she felt like a little girl again. She felt fucking trapped and it pissed her off.
Yeah, she said that her life had become like a Sunday school Bible church camp, and that's how she felt, is that she was basically every day in Sunday school camp.
That she was forced to be wild on stage and all this like craziness on stage, but in reality she was just like a robot.
Yeah, they wanted her to be wild and sexy and flirty.
All the things that she's not allowed to be.
But she can't really be. It's just a persona. It's just a dream.
An avatar. And then she started her song Work Bitch with will.i.am. And she felt like her dad picked the most dingiest, darkest, sad, gloomiest studios ever to like record her songs in. But I'm like, I think like studios in general are pretty dark anyways. And I'm thinking that it's probably more of her mental state.
You think they're dark?
Yeah, we're in like a black room, right? So I think that it's more her mental state making her room feel that way than the room actually, than her dad doing that. Like, not saying that her dad's not fucked up or whatever, but I think that she's I think she over dramatizes a lot of this book to be like, he did this just to do this. I'm sure that he did not go tour some studios and pick out the worst one. Right? Like,
I bet if anything,
will.i.am was in there too with her. Like,
I bet if anything, like you're saying, is like she felt like the walls were closing in on her, and she felt like it was the smallest place. It could have been a huge studio, but she felt
she was just
like
in such a dark place anyways.
And I remember she had a music video, I forget the song, but on the walls of the room, it's like a white room though, and had all these pictures of Britney all over, and it's her music video where she's singing and she has her arms out and she's like pushing against the walls because the walls are closing in on her, and it's all her different images of her. Yeah. So I can see how like the whole persona of like the performer Britney and the idea of going to these studios and working the way that she worked, she would feel like the walls were closing in on her, and she did like that metaphor in one of her music videos. So that makes sense.
It makes sense, like, but not that her dad purposefully went out and found a dark studio to shove her ass in.
I can see him doing other things on purpose, like
but
calling her fat.
Yeah, calling her fat and stuff like that.
And telling her she can't have dessert when she's like 120 pounds.
Yeah, so I can picture all that, but I feel like sometimes she's just over dramatizing herself. Or whatever,
yeah, I can see that. But that's how she felt at the time, I guess.
So then she did X Factor for one season, and then she went on to do her Vegas residency. And the chapter ends with her saying that she went to Vegas, just like everybody else, hoping to win. Only she was hoping to win in life. I feel like just hoping to win just in general, not hoping to win money, but
win and happiness and feel like at peace. And I think too that because she did note that she had 2 kids at the time. They were 7 and 8, I think she said, right?
That's on the, you're just
Oh, I'm getting ahead.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so not to get too far ahead, but I think that she liked the idea of Vegas also because like the stability of just being in one place.
Yeah.
And not having to tour around a bunch of places would kind of be a little relaxing for her because everything else was tight.
But she had just done the X Factor, so then this way she's probably thinking that she gets to not tour. She only has to be on for 2 hours, not the 8 hours, 2 hours 3 times a week or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And that it's just much more stable and less crazy, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think that's a little more stable in a sense. Like
stable, where she feels like she still has some sort of control because it's her show. So she's going into it thinking that this is my show. It's going to be my say, my everything. And time will tell us what really goes down.
We'll see if she is
Thank you guys for listening and come back for chapter 35. See you soon. Bye.